Much like our last section, it'll be important as a system administrator to know how to manage local group accounts. We'll learn the commands that allow us to do so. Groups must exist prior to a user being added to the group. We will take a look at the command line tools available to you to create and manage these groups as well as the membership of users within. The first command that we'd like to take a look at is the group add command. As expected, the group add command allows us to create new user groups. If we supply no further options, the group add command will simply create the group of the name that we designate. We can additionally supply further options such as the -G option if we wish to specifically declare a group ID for this use. You can see an example of this approach being used in this output. Here, we're using the group add command, the -G flag, and the GID of 10,000 to create a new group called Group 1. When using the group add command, there's also the -R option. The -R option will create a system group using a GID from a range of valid system GIDs. These are defined in the file etsylogin.defs. In general, this allows us to conform to a standard convention of reserving GIDs 0 through 999 as system groups. You can see the example output here of a system group being created with a GID in the appropriate range. Here, the group add command passes the -R option for group 02. We can see that group 02 receives a GID of 988 within that 0 through 999 range reserved for system groups. When we wish to modify the settings for a specifically created group, we have the group mod option. The -N option for group mod will allow you to rename the group. Here, you can see an example of the group mod -N option renaming group 022 to group 02. The -G option will allow you to specify a new GID, and you can see an example output here of reassigning the GID to 20,000 for group 0022. By inspecting the file etsy group, you can see that information is updated. The last new command we'll look at is the group del command, allowing us to delete groups. Here you can see a simple interaction using a sudo command to delete the group 022 using the group del command. A word of caution exists that you cannot remove a group if a user belongs to it as a primary group. In other words, in Etsy Password, if a user has the primary group declared, that group cannot be deleted until this information is updated. When we wish to manage group memberships in this way, we have the user mod command and can pass in both the -G or G arguments, depending on whether we want to update people's primary group or secondary group memberships. The -g will allow us to update the primary group for a user. Here we can see the user 02, and the output of the ID command for that user. The output of that command shows that the primary GID for this user is this group here, or the user 02 group. If we were to execute a user mod statement to update that to the user 02 from the user 02 group to the group 01, we could then inspect the ID of user 02 again and see the updated GID. When we use user mod and the -A G flag, we will then be able to add additional secondary groups to the user's configuration. The -A argument allows us to append further groups. Without the -A argument, the list of groups supplied by the command would replace any group memberships the user has for supplementary groups. By using the A, we're allowed to simply list out the groups we wish to add as well as the ones they currently belong to. In the output below, you can see an interaction using the user mod command and the -A G interaction. These arguments allow us to update and add to additional groups the user 03. We can see from the output of the initial ID of user 03 that this user belongs to the groups 1009 or user 03. When we add the secondary group, group 01 to this user, and then ID the user again, we see that they have the initial user 03 as well as the new group 01. This concludes our section on managing local groups.